Hello, welcome back to Nerds App. So not too long ago, I uploaded a 11-minute rant telling you all the things I didn't like about the Pixel 8 Pro after moving from the iPhone 13 Pro. Look at that face, that's my disappointed thumbnail face. And it looks like I had sunburn that week as well, so that probably just added to the pure rage. But I've had a little bit of time to reflect, to calm down, to take a couple of deep breaths. And I thought in the interest of fairness and balance, I'd tell you all the things I love about the Pixel 8 Pro after switching from an iPhone. So let's just get straight into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is something that a lot of people probably take for granted, and that's the option to double tap the power button on the Pixel to open the camera from the lock screen. Now I know the later iPhone can do something similar with the action button, but I came from an iPhone 13 Pro, so on there it just wasn't an option. To open the camera from the lock screen quickly, I had to either swipe across to the camera app or use the back tap button. I could map that to the camera, and that worked a bit better, but I'd find that was a little bit intermittent and it sometimes just opened the camera when it was in my pocket as well. So being able to double tap that button as I pull the phone out of my pocket and have the camera ready as soon as it's up to my face allows me to quickly snap that shot. Whereas on the iPhone, I found myself quite often missing that photo because it had already happened by the time I've managed to open the camera. So next is the Pixel's Circle Anything to Search feature, which when I first saw this, I thought it might be one of those little AI gimmicks that I probably wouldn't use, but actually I found it really useful. So I'm not sure if people can relate to this, but I quite often find myself on social media and I'll spot something that's meant to be a joke and I just don't get the reference. And what I used to do is just search through the comments to see if somebody would explain what's going on. But now all I have to do is tap the bottom of the screen, circle whatever's in the image, and then I'll get some context. I have found other uses for this as well, like I was looking for a replacement decal for my camper van the other day because it was peeling off, and it's just a case of taking a picture of it and circling it, and it just found it for me, so that's really useful. So the next thing I want to talk about is screen brightness. So I don't necessarily think I had an issue with screen brightness on the iPhone 13, but I recently went on holiday to Spain, where it's very sunny, unlike here in England, and using my phone outside, it was just amazing. It didn't matter how bright the sun was, I could see the screen. I think the phone might actually be brighter than the sun, it's just unbelievable. So that was just really useful to not have to worry about reflections on the screen or having to cover the phone up or anything like that. If I just wanted to get my phone out and take a picture, it didn't matter how sunny it was, I could see everything perfectly on the screen as if I was indoors. So really good job there, Google. Next is the Magic Eraser. So this is just a feature I just don't think I could live without anymore. The amount of times I take a photo and it's almost perfect, but there's just one little thing ruining that shot. And with the Pixel, it's just a case of literally just circling that thing and it disappears. And most of the time it does a really good job as well, and I don't have to do any tweaks. I know Apple are now talking about bringing a load of AI features to the iPhone, but the Magic Eraser just works right now, and it's something that I'd really miss if it wasn't there. So the next feature I want to talk about, which I think is exclusive to the Pixel 8 Pro, is the temperature sensor. So I actually do find this quite useful having a small child. I'm sure parents out there can relate when I say that you find yourself quite often having to take temperatures. So officially this is not meant to be used for human temperatures. They still call it the object thermometer. I think because it has to go through some kind of certification or approval to get it approved as an actual medical device. But at the end of the day, it still works as a thermometer. You can point it at somebody's forehead and get a pretty accurate temperature reading. So the next thing I want to talk about is custom home launchers. So obviously on Apple, you're just stuck with whatever Apple give you. It's nice to come back to Android and have the option to switch things up. Now the Pixel launcher is okay, but there was a point recently where I found myself spending too much time on my phone, and I was even looking at the option of buying a dumb phone to see if I could remove those distractions from my life. But what I decided to do instead was a happy medium, and I installed a Minimalist launcher, and the one that I ended up using was called Minimalist AF. Apparently the AF stands for ad-free, but we know. So as the name suggests, this launcher is Minimalist AF. And for me, this has just been absolutely brilliant. It's removed all those distractions from my phone. I can choose how many apps I have on the home screen and no icons on there as well, so there's no pretty colors trying to draw me in. And it's just nice just to have that option. And if I decide I want to change back, I can, or have another launcher, I can do that as well. Another thing that I really like is the Google Photos app. So I talked about the Magic Eraser earlier, but what I really like is the On This Day feature, where it'll bring back memories from holidays from a couple of years ago, or just certain photos that you think would be nice grouped together into a montage with some music over the back. And Apple might do something similar to this, but I find what Google brings to me through that feature is a lot higher quality, to the point where I actually want to share those memories. And speaking of sharing memories and things like that, when I was on holiday recently, everybody I was on holiday with had an Android phone, and we set up a shared Google Photos album, and we just all dumped our photos in there. So I know that all comes down to ecosystem and what your friends and family are on, but it was quite nice not being left out of that, because if I was still on the iPhone, I wouldn't have been able to share all of those photos and view all of them as easily. So the last thing I want to talk about is the camera itself. So whilst I did have a little bit of a moan about some of the camera features in the previous video, on the whole, the Pixel 8 camera is a lot better. The quality is a lot better. Obviously, I've got the better optical zoom with the 5x optical zoom. Night sight is really good as well if you remember to turn that on. The video on the iPhone has always been pretty good. I found the pixels to be a little bit behind there, but now we have this night sight feature. It actually does a better job in lower light. Yes, you have to wait a little while for that video to process, but if you're not looking to get that straight away, then it's a game changer, really good feature. And the Pixel 8 is much better at slow motion footage as well. Where the iPhone could do 240 frames at 720p, the Pixel can do that at 1080p, so that looks a lot better. Right, so that's everything that I like about the Pixel 8 Pro after moving from the iPhone 13 Pro. If you have any thoughts on the Pixel, good or bad, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Please consider liking this video if you enjoyed it, just to help that YouTube algorithm along. And if you could subscribe as well, I'd really appreciate that, getting really close to that 1K subs. So, thanks for watching, see you next time.